Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Corporate Girls. Today I'll be introducing our next guest. Netta Jenkins is a doctoral student who is also lead voice in diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and the anti-racism space. Named one of the top anti-racism consultants in the world by Forbes, it is a testament that her effective strategies to address inequitable gaps in the workplace resonate. She does this through her work in her company, Holistic Inclusion Consulting. Netta also works along the top in the industry, helping them to create tailored DEI roadmaps. Most recent, she is an acclaimed author with a transformational best-selling book, The Inclusive Organization. And these don't even begin to scratch the surface of what Netta has accomplished. Today, she joins the Non-Corporate Girls to speak more on her efforts and future endeavors. So we welcome you, Netta. Hi.
Hi, I am so happy to be on with both of you. This is exciting.
Yes. And a long time coming.
I was going to say, do you remember when we met you? It was like at this HBO event a long time ago. Who knew?
I sure do. I know. That's what I'm like. Life is so beautiful. Things always come full circle. You just never know when you're going to reconnect with someone. And it's just so beautiful to see beautiful sisters doing their thing. So I love it.
Yes. Well, we're so excited to talk to you. So this episode is episode 120, and the title is Building Inclusive Communities with DEI Executive Netta Jenkins.
Okay.
All right. So before we jump in, we always start with a positive note. Can you share your positive note with us for the week or the month?
Yeah, my positive note would be, goodness, life is so hard, right?
Yeah.
Life is hard. And so I think giving ourselves grace, space, protecting your peace like hair grease, that's like my big saying, is so important. And sometimes, we as human beings push ourselves to the limit. It's okay to pause and be like, you know what? I need to take a nap today. I'm working remote. I'm just going to take a little 2-minute, 5-minute, an hour nap. So give yourself grace. And that's my note.
I love that. We love that here. We're always talking about giving yourself grace on the pod. So thank you for that reminder. All right. So let's take a little walk down memory lane. Can you share a bit about your career trajectory and what was your why in getting into the DEI field?
Yeah, my career trajectory was kind of wild because it was birthed out of a traumatic experience that I had, and I typically like to share. So at the age of 7, a white woman had spit in my mother's face, and I was standing right next to her. And she then screamed and yelled, "Blacks don't belong in my neighborhood." And I remember as a young girl, literally feeling my mom's energy. Like I could feel my mom thinking, right? And I could feel her thinking like, should I retaliate? Like, should I do something right now? Should these hands move? Or should I just turn around? Should I scream? Should I spit back at her? Right. So I literally felt all of this energy as a young person. But the decision my mom made while I was next to her was to grab my hand and just to turn around. And we turned around, we walked back into the house, and we didn't really unpack it. But I remember going in my room that day and I was like, oh, I will never be silent again. I vowed literally to never be silent again. And that's when this work really was birthed out of that experience. I remember then, going on to middle school, and there was a young boy that had said, "I heard your family is from Africa. Let me see how far and fast you can climb up this tree." And I was like, okay. So
Kids are so cruel. Oh my goodness.
So cruel, right? I went home that day and I cried my eyes out. My mom looked at me and she said, "Netta, I didn't bring you in this world to cry about things. I brought you in this world to create change." And I was like, does she think I'm Martin Luther King? Right? Like, what? But that's exactly what I did. I went, became president of the freshman class. My student council teacher then said, "Netta, I have a big gig for you. You have to fold flowers for the freshman float." And I looked at him, I said, "I'm not here to fold flowers. I'm here to create change." And I started to challenge teachers on the curriculum and what they were teaching. I joined honors classes, and coming from an African household, you kind of have like 3 occupations you can do: doctor, lawyer, engineer. And so for a long time, I thought I was going to be on the attorney path. And when I got into college, I started to focus on communications, behavioral psychology, and I just knew I wanted to create a shift and change within the workplace. And so that's where I kind of ended up.
So much to unpack there, first of all.
Yeah.
The first thing is, like, we talk all the time on the pod about like having experiences or skill sets when you're younger and not really thinking about how that translates to you as an adult. But really, a lot of us, we lean into that and it's unbeknownst to us. And look how this has translated in your life. So I think that's a really great thing that you called out, especially because you were technically on like one track and then you kind of like pivoted a bit. And I think that's really important to call out. And then the other thing is just the trauma, right? Like, I just think that there's so many of us who experience similar things, if not the same exact thing, and we don't even talk about it or think about it.
Yep. Yeah. That's the hard part. I mean, I would be lying if I said I'm totally over the trauma.
Of course.
You know, I work at it every single day, but I think what propels me to do this work so much is knowing that there are a lot of people that are silent every single day, you know, like literally scared to say anything within the workplace because they still have to feed their families. And so when I think about that, I'm like, oh no, someone has to do this work, right? And I think part of doing DEI work is it's not easy because oftentimes you are putting yourself on the line to speak up for those that are voiceless. But it's work that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Wow, I love that. And someone has to do it, right? Like, you are doing God's work, honestly. You're doing God's work. So kind of
it's
like
necessary. It's necessary work.
100%. I mean, and there's so many types of people who are doing God's work in different ways. And I love that this is kind of like your path of what you're doing, but kind of like in that lane. So we know that the DEI work, as you said, is challenging. It is a hard thing to kind of like tackle, especially as an everyday thing. We also know that word DEI, diversity, inclusion, belonging, all of it is really buzzworthy these days, right? A lot of people are leaning into that. And so we want to know kind of, what are your thoughts on the evolution of this space and how have you specifically created your strategy around this work?
Yeah, such a great question. The evolution of this space is really interesting. So a lot of people don't even know, like, DEI was birthed out of the civil rights movement, right? Rosa Parks, we all know of her story, and really, you know, during a moment where so many people were voiceless, she stood up. She's like, this is not happening, right? And so we saw how DEI came out of that. We heard words like affirmative action. We then saw how movements, there were a variety of different movements that came about from different demographics. So it's definitely evolved, but in a very interesting way, right? Now we kind of get to the point where, you know, Mr. George Floyd was then murdered, and the whole world was shut down. And it took that moment for people to see, oh my goodness, what's happening? A Black man was treated unfairly. Oh my gosh, now a Black man died. Like, what's happening? How could this be, right? When many of us already knew the reality of what was happening. And so we then saw this huge transition where almost every company was like, wait, hold on. They went from not having funds to then having funds, right? And putting DEI investments forth and doing everything that they could, which was very interesting. But now what we're seeing, though, is DEI, many folks kind of backpedaling and pushing the DEI work all the way back. From a political standpoint, you hear how these trainings, the educational trainings, are being stopped. You hear people misusing the word woke, right? And creating their own narrative that fuels their own racism. So like, there's a lot that's happening, but I think in the midst of that, those that are doing the real work, that are saying, like, no matter what comes my way, right? I'm going to still continue to push for the benefit of people. that's where our minds need to be, because it's very easy when you hear of these things happening, it's very easy as a DEI leader to say, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired, right? Like, because really what we're saying is DEI is saying, hey, can we just remove barriers that allow every single person to equitably advance? That's
You would
all.
think that's so simple, like such a simple ask. It's just
simple concept. Let's remove barriers for all of us so we can just all equitably advance. And then when you see people challenge that, it shows the inherent racism that exists within them, which is very deep rooted. So I think the work has evolved in a very interesting way. But I'm really hoping that through people that are dedicated and committed to this work, through, one of the things I recently did was I created an application that measures and tracks the impact of the DEI impact of every single employee. So my whole thought process is, how do we begin to democratize DEI on a wide scale so that every single employee is touching this, but in a gamified way? So it's something that I developed. And so I'm hoping that through the technology, through many leaders' commitment and dedication to this work, that will continue to pave the way, even if it's just small doors that are opening.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially since you're saying that you want it to be more widespread, because although it's for the impact for a particular group, it takes the efforts of everyone to push this work forward. And you've worked with a ton of organizations to propel this work. How would you define what success is?
Dag, you came with some fire questions. What would I deem as success? I see success as my job going away. Like when my job, when the
Didn't I mention that? That's so funny you brought that up.
When the DEI role goes away, then I know, we're at a place of success. And I don't mean go away because political aspect.
Right. Correct. Like the work has actually been executed. We've seen the changes.
And now people are ingraining it. And let's be real, as human beings, we're not all going to take on everything. We have like real bad people in our world, in our society, that don't want to do anything, right? And so those are the people that won't do anything. But when we start to see that there's levels of accountability, just like we have stop signs and stoplights that keep us in order, when I start to see that and my role goes away as well as others, then I know we've gotten to a better place.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is fair. I just wonder, when will that be though?
Listen, that's what I want to know, because our ancestors have fought the fight, and I think now I'm like, I always have to think back, and I'm like, whoa, all right, I think I'm doing work. Like in those times, in the moments where I feel overwhelmed, tired, I just kind of want to walk away. I think about our ancestors. I think about those people that paved the way for us. When you think about like the Martin Luther Kings, the Rosa Parks, of the world, when you think about those folks and everything that they had to go through, everything that they had to go through, just for equity, just to be included. I'm just like, damn, like there's no way I can turn my back on this work. Like I'm not even touching the work in the way that they touch this work. Right. I don't think anyone is really. And so I always have to go back to that, but that's a good question. It's just like when, right? When are we going to see that turning point? And I'm hopeful of like the new generation. I think that my children, like I have a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old. And when I think about them, I'm just like, they're so smart, they're so conscious, aware of what's the world, what's happening in the world. And even thinking about, like, even from a political stance, like they know what's happening, what needs to be done. And so when I think about the younger generation and the diversity and the interconnectedness that's happening, that brings me a lot more hope.
Yeah.
And
Talk
the work
about
that
perspective.
it is. And also because the work that you're doing now is for the next generation. They'll be
Yeah.
looking at what you did and keep, it's like you're gonna pass the baton and they're gonna keep fighting forward.
Yeah, no, definitely. And especially for my kids, like they hear me talk about DEI all the time. I mean, what is
Right.
DEI? Like they'll probably know DEI more than their ABCs. But yeah, I think even for them to go back into their classrooms and be able to, share information with their friends and talk about this, that, those types of enlightening conversations, I think is needed in our world. So
100%. Okay, so as an expert, how do you navigate those instances where bias could or have come up in your day-to-day?
well, I want to be very, very honest, right?
Yes.
Back then, and I want to say like maybe a couple years back, when bias would come up in my day, sometimes I would be nervous to combat them. Or, sometimes the bias you feel like is small. So you're like, I already addressed this person yesterday. Do I want to address them again today? Do I want to address someone else? Am I becoming a troublemaker? Am I nitpicking, And so I would challenge myself on that. And what happens when you challenge yourself on that? You just remain silent. You're like, let me let that
Correct.
go. Let me let that go until something bigger evolves. Oh, now I nip it in the bud. And I am very, very direct. Like, so it's, if I'm sitting in a meeting and I feel that someone is over talking, I will be very direct and say, hey, listen, in this moment, I've given you space and time to talk, but you have over talked this entire time, right? So I have a few things to say, but I want to share that with the group because I don't want that to continue. I have no problem saying that. But I know that it takes people time to get there.
Yeah.
I'm just at a point in my life personally, professionally, and in my career where I'm like, if I'm going to do this work, I have to practice what I preach as well. And so I can't be afraid to, to address it in the moment. There are times where, say I'm in a meeting and I'm watching how, again, someone's over talking someone else, or maybe they mispronounce their name, or there's a joke that's just not, does not mean
Not funny.
not funny, right? Like, exactly. Those funny, that's not funny.
At all.
We know.
So, and I have no problem saying like, listen, no, or I watched this dynamic happen. Hey, I want to take you to the side. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You were over talking this person, or you were, being patronizing during the meeting to that person. Well, why was that?
Right.
So I am that person that will say that. And I think people know. So then they come, they're like, Netta, are you going to be a part of this meeting today?
Like we got to come correct.
We got to come correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And on the point of speaking up, Netta, because I feel like it's a little bit sometimes comes off as a privilege to be able to speak up, because there are people that is a risk for you to speak out on something, depending where you are, like, if you're subordinate versus a VP, depending where you are in the organizational chart of the company, you might lose an opportunity, a job. So how would you suggest for someone to approach that who wants to speak out and say something, but is pretty much afraid to what the consequence could be?
Yeah, no, that's real. And thank you again for that question. I think what I tell people is form a community within the workplace. And your community should involve executives, should involve VPs, all levels within the organization, not just at random, but people that you really can lean on and trust. So then that way, when you're going through an experience, those are the same people that can then speak up for you or amplify and say, hey, I watched this dynamic. I watched this situation. This didn't make me feel good. So I can only see how this would make that person feel poor about that situation, So I think the amplification definitely helps, leaning on that community. I think oftentimes when we don't have a community within the workplace, then you're venting to family members that are not in the workplace with you that can support you when you go back in, even if you're virtually. So really take your time. And even if those individuals don't identify with you, there's always a few people that you can trust within the organization. Build that once you join. One of the things that I was very intentional about was building good relationships with my managers. I would build a good relationship with them to the point they trusted me, they wanted to amplify my voice, and they put me on. And honestly, when I look back in my career, those managers are the same people that amplified my voice. And really my career, my trajectory within my career, it was fast paced. Because now it's like, well, Netta, I'm going to invest in your development. I'm going to invest to make sure you're speaking here because I know you like to do the speaking part. And they're carving out budgets to make sure that they're investing in me as a talent within the organization. So that it's really building those relationships is critical. And it took me a little bit to realize that because I was holding in a lot of trauma, and there were people that don't identify as I do, wanted to support and help me. And I was just like, I don't trust her. Right. So no, I'm good. But once I kind of started to feel out who they were, and I opened that door, the beauty in that was really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because, especially for people who work in corporate environments, trying to build the network, trying to develop that relationship with your managers, trying to figure out how to advocate for yourself. These are things that take constant navigation. It's take constant exercising and figuring it out. So we love that you shared that because it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was definitely a journey that you built up in your career.
Definitely was a journey for sure. And healing that I had to do on my part, again, I shared the experience that I had with my mom, with other folks, when I was younger, and I didn't know at the time, but that's all trauma. You feel like you've gotten over it, but it's still there. The self-work is critical.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about your new book, The Inclusive Organization. Can you tell us what was the process first behind you even creating this book? And can you really be clear about who this book is for in the workplace?
Okay. Yes. The process was so interesting. So I was on a flight headed to LA for something work related. And on that flight, I just had this deep desire to start writing titles, like chapter titles of my book. There was just this deep pressing desire. And I feel like it's spiritual, right? And so I was like, all right, the entire flight, I did not sleep. And I'm typically a sleeper on a plane. And I did all of my titles. I wrote summaries of each of the titles. I came up with a book. I mean, I was just going off, and I was like, wow, what in my hands right now? 2 weeks later, I received an email. And I received an email from Wiley Publishing Company, which is one of the biggest publishing companies where they do all the textbooks. And it was like, have you thought about writing a book? It was more to it. And at first I thought it was spam. I'm like, oh, this is spam. What are the odds, right? I just wrote down, is Google listening to me, right?
The universe.
Yeah, I'm right? And I'm like, this is weird. And so I booked some time with the agent that was reaching out. And she was like, listen, Netta, we've been watching you and you writing content on LinkedIn for such a long time. We want to move forward with writing, with having you write a book. Are you interested? I'm like, wait, what? And she's like, okay, she's like, here's the material we're going to need to know, introductions, summaries. And I was like, I already have that. And she was like, were you planning to write a book? I was like, I wanted to write a book, but I was just kind of waiting, will someone ever reach out to me? And she was like, well, yeah, we want to move forward. So I signed the contract and I signed a deal. And now the book will be coming out in June, which is just incredible.
Divine timing is real.
Yeah, it was definitely divine timing for sure.
It was meant for you to do that. I mean, the spiritual pull that you had to even, I mean, you were set, you were ready already. And see, that's like staying ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's what it was. Yeah. Staying ready. I love that. Staying ready.
Yeah, that's like my thing. Okay, so tell us who is this book for in the workplace though? Because we want to be clear that the people who get this book understand how they're going to make the strides in their environments.
Yeah, literally, this book is for everyone. Okay. This book is definitely for those that are practicing allyship. This book is also for those that are saying, hey, I'm stuck in a situation. I'm stuck in my organization. I'm experiencing these things and I'm tired. I may want to leave, but what do I do? How do I navigate? It's for that person as well. This book is also for the individual that's like, hey, I don't know much about DEI, but I want to learn. I want to learn so that I'm forward thinking, so that I'm not making the same mistakes, right? That many other organizations make as leaders or as employees. And so literally this book is for everyone. And I love humor. I try to add humor in everything, even in sad stories, sad situations. So it's funny. There are chapters that I was dying. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. But hopefully other people feel that way too.
I love it. She's so funny. You're so funny.
Laughing at your own jokes. That's my thing.
Girl, I was, yeah.
I love that.
Is there any particular takeaway that you want people to leave with after reading the book?
Yeah, so there's so many takeaways. What I will say is that I really wanted this to be a book that folks could apply their work to. And so after each chapter, there's a worksheet. And the worksheet allows them to write in the book, apply, answer questions, really identify, like, so the first chapter is called, it's Decoding Human Behavior. And so in that worksheet, I allow for folks to decode their own human behavior so that they can identify, okay, here's the role that I play within society. Here's how I'm impacting people. Here's how I could potentially be impacting people within the workplace. Here's what I'm going to do to dismantle that. So it's really cool and they can apply it. It's really good as well for a book club because there's nothing they really have to do. All the exercises that are there and it's after each chapter. So many takeaways. I think the biggest takeaway within, gosh, there's so many. I wanted to say the biggest takeaway, but there's so many. So you have to go out and get it.
Yes, I love that. I love books that make you do the work because you get to see how it applies to your life, you know, and I really like that. Awesome. All right. Well, June is the launch. So everyone has to get this book. So just putting it out there. All right. So you are a DEI executive consultant, but you also wear many hats. I mean, founder, CEO, mom, wife. Can you tell us, like, how have you been able to really manage the various roles that you've been doing and really prioritizing your self-care?
Oof. So prioritizing my self-care is still something that I'm working on, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
It's a lot. I'm juggling a lot and I'm thankful I got really good at asking for help. My husband is a huge help. So he helps out a lot with the kids. He helps out a lot too, just maybe not cooking dinner, but he'll organize it or make sure he does the shopping. And he's like, hey, or can he cook it? Right. He has been just amazing. And I literally have to give him an award one day. I'll have to award him. My mom has been great as well. I travel a lot for work. And so, you know, I'll take the kids to my mother's house and she takes care of them. She's just like, who better to take care of your kids than your mom? Like, you know, they're in the best hands, you know? So I got really good at asking for help. And I feel like that's part of like my self-care regimen. Like, can you help me, please?
Yes.
I do that even with people that I'm working with. You know, I'm very honest about like, hey, here's what I can do. Here's the capacity and here's what I really can't do. I've gotten better and I need to do even better with this, but better at, you know, setting out vacations and all of that just to kind of get away. I still haven't mastered shutting my phone off, but at least I'm somewhere different. So
Right.
working on all of it. And when I think about self-care, I don't think about it too much in the respect of like bubble bath and, you know, the
Right.
glamorization aspect of self-care on social media.
Mhm.
I think about it as like, am I getting out to go dancing, right? Something that I love to do with my girls.
Mhm.
Am I spending time with my husband? Um, am I traveling? Like, so I think about self-care in that way. And then the biggest piece of self-care I would say is like, am I protecting my peace? Like,
Mm.
I'm making sure that I'm surrounding myself around people that are empowering me, are lifting me up. And can I do the same for them? So like, that's how I channel the self-care energy.
I love that you said that because self-care looks different for everyone, right? It's about what's
Absolutely.
personal to you. And I love that you just kind of
Mhm.
double down on that because sometimes people feel like even resting, they can't do that because it doesn't feel, it's like that is self-care. That
That is
is you
self-care. Forgot
recharging
about that.
yourself. Yes.
Forgot about that,
Mhm.
definitely.
Right. Like, how
Awesome.
can you be productive if you don't get some good rest so that you can think
Okay.
clearly and like approach things head
Yeah. People be all about team no sleep. It's like,
on?
we're not about that over here.
No, like
No.
I want sleep.
Like I yearn for it. Give
I,
it to me.
I'm team want sleep.
I love that. So it's crazy. We're like almost at the end, but there's still a couple more things to talk about. So before we wrap completely, for someone looking to break into the DEI space, what tools would you recommend they equip themselves with to set themselves up for success?
Yeah, goodness. So I don't know if I would call out any specific tools. Um, I've tested many, and I haven't
Mm.
been the biggest fan of them. But what
Mhm.
I will say is leaning on practitioners that you do admire for this work that you've followed, set meetings with them, learn from them, invest in yourself, even if you're like, hey, you know what?
Mhm.
I really want to learn more from this practitioner, DEI practitioner. I'm going to set aside this money for some coaching, for a week of coaching. Do it for yourself. I think that's the best investment that you can make.
Mhm.
There are a lot of DEI practitioners out there that are doing just like a phenomenal job. I would be remiss if I didn't say, hey, reach out to me. I am coaching people all day long and guiding them through the process and really an open book. Kind of going back to the book, I talk about my framework, the 3 Ps, and that's people, practice, and product. And that's the way that I tackle DEI. So anyone that's interested, I'm more than happy for us to dive into that.
Thank
That's
you for
amazing.
calling it out. And I can also attest to just Netta being just an open door. Whenever like
Yeah.
you need anything or have a question, she's so giving and willing to meet with you because I've done that already. So
Thank
I can
you.
attest to that.
Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. So hashtag obsessed with segment. Can you share with us who are you hashtag obsessed with these days?
Does it have to be a celebrity
It
or
could be anyone, any person,
anyone?
anything.
Who am I obsessed with?
And it could be a thing, something that's just helping your productivity or like just
Mhm.
your lifestyle be simplified. Whatever that thing that's like you're utilizing
Yeah.
currently. Yeah. What is it?
I'm obsessed with my phone. Like it's a bad addiction. Um, because it literally has everything on it and I'm always on the go.
That's
So I feel
true.
like I always have it more than like diaper or like wipes, right? Or my diaper bag for my kids, not for me. But yeah, I would say definitely my phone is something that I'm obsessed with right now
It
because
does
it's
so much. It's so true. Like you can
access.
send the email.
Yeah.
Like if my phone is dead and I'm in the street, I feel lost.
You
Like you can't do
right? Like
anything.
I'm shaking.
Yeah, you're stuck.
Do
You're
they?
legit stuck.
Yeah, I think they need to come up with like phone addiction clinics. Like I'm so serious because I would like definitely add myself.
I'm sure a lot of people would add themselves.
It's so bad. It's so bad, but it's like also so needed. I hate that I'm so dependent on it,
Right.
but I'm obsessed. So,
Well, because if we was even to revert back to doing things like in another way, it's just so much more time consuming. Imagine us printing directions to go somewhere, or we're gonna need
It's
landlines.
like, what
For
were
a
we
lot of us,
doing
our phone,
before? It's so weird.
we were
That's
doing
so
it.
I
weird.
know, but it don't feel that way.
I remember printing out MapQuest directions,
Oh my
driving
Yes.
all the way to Canada from, where was I? In Rhode Island to
Oh my
Canada
God.
on MapQuest directions. And I
It's like
made it to
19
my
pages.
destination. Yeah, I made it to my destination. I'm like, how did I do that? But I can't even do like navigation. I'm still trying to figure out my way. I'm just like, this world is crazy.
And it's possible. It's just the fact that like now we're so used to everything being done quickly. Like we don't have patience. So
Yeah.
imagine it's gonna humble us, and
That's,
that's what it's gonna do.
that's it. That's
Okay.
it. We don't have patience.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to get into our game. Delilah, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So April is recognized as National Stress Awareness Month to bring attention to the negative impact of stress. Managing stress is an essential component of a healthy lifestyle. Knowing how to manage stress can improve mental and physical well-being, as well as minimize compromising health-related issues. And since, the work you do definitely navigates this to some extent, we just wanted to ask a couple of fun questions of how you manage your stress, and for people listening to get encouraged to do the same.
Okay, sounds good.
So, what color do you feel like today?
Ooh, I feel like red.
Ooh.
I always wear red lipstick, so I
Mhm.
feel like there's something missing. I have like a nude on, but I'm feeling red.
Fiery.
Right, fiery.
And we in Aries
Oh.
season, which is a fire sign, so that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yep, red.
What's your comfort food of choice?
My comfort food of choice. I love me some chicken. I'm not gonna lie. Grilled chicken. I don't want to be so stereotypical.
Like, keep it simple, chicken.
Chicken is it never misses. You can't
It
go
just
wrong with
never
chicken.
misses. My mom said when she was pregnant with me, that's all she ate was chicken.
Oh,
So
okay.
now I'm in love with chicken. But
Well, at least you're on that side of it, because sometimes people
yeah,
are not a fan because their parent was so
yeah.
obsessed with it.
She said that's all she ate. It's crazy.
All right. What kind of workouts energize you?
Afro beats, like put on some Afro beats and I will be dancing. And that is my workout. That is
You cannot not move listening to
I
Afro.
know.
I've tried before. I'm like,
What I'm like, what is
Yes,
that?
it
Like
just-
staying stiff, not moving.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
impossible. What helps calm you down?
A nice drive. A nice drive is like therapeutic to me. I could actually sleep. Fun fact, I could sleep in a car.
I can.
could
I
drive
can.
I
alone.
mean, I can sleep on anything moving.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, definitely.
You wanted to say something else?
Oh, no.
No. Okay. So the next question: what song are you gonna play to amp you up?
Oh, wait, hold on. Let me look at Spotify really quick.
Go ahead, do your thing.
What genre do y'all think it's gonna be?
I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like
Afro
it's gonna be a
beats?
rap song. No, I think it's gonna be a rap song.
Rap song? Afro beats.
Not a rap song. Is Afrobeats really?
It's Afro beats. I like this song by, you know what? I like a song called Right About Now, and it's by Kona. Oh, and actually it's called Kona, and it's called Kona.
Okay, Kona. I'm gonna check that out. Do you have a playlist that you go to, like an Afrobeats playlist? I feel like you hearing it in your head right now.
Can you guys hear it?
We
All right,
can.
Oh, you can't? Oh, well, you saw me, Jen.
No.
I played it. I
You
tried to play
playing it from your computer or your phone?
Oh, from my phone. See, I'm addicted. I put my phone right next to me.
I'm dead. Netta, you're hilarious. What hobby brings you back to your inner child?
What hobby? kickball.
Oh,
Oh my God, I used to love playing
Right?
kickball.
I loved kickball. I used to kill it in
Yeah.
kickball.
Me too. Like I used to kill it. I'm so competitive, I realize.
We should all play kickball.
All right. We should.
I'm not good at kickball, so
Oh,
I'm
you're
gonna
not
have to
gonna.
see
Oh, you definitely have to play with us then. We'll win.
You have to play. Let's do it. I will set it up. We get a couple of girls together, make it like a field day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so with it. I'll hold you to that.
Okay.
We are. What affirmation do you say to yourself to get you in a positive mindset?
I say, damn girl, you are fly.
Yeah.
You gotta
Okay.
go on.
And you are.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Delaila. No, but like sometimes we have to talk to ourselves, especially in the moments where like I feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing anything right now, or or when you start doubting yourself, like, can I do this? Should I be the person presenting right now? And I have to look in the mirror and say, girl, you got it going on. You got this. You can do it. So I talk to myself all the time.
Yes, I love that.
So
So do we.
I love it. I love it.
And the last one is, which are you opting for? A spa day, massages and sauna, or a beauty day, hair and nails?
Spa day.
A spa day.
Yeah, definitely a spa
I love
day.
a good spa.
Same. That's my thing.
Yeah. So we all hope you got to know Netta a little bit better, because we did.
Aww. This was amazing. Thank you both for having me on. This was amazing. Such a great interview.
Of course, we love everything that you're doing. And, we've been following you for quite some time. Also, just a plug, if you do not follow Netta on LinkedIn, you need to, because she be dropping the gems. But at the beginning, Delaila introduced you. We want you to introduce yourself to our community and where they can find you.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Netta Jenkins. I'm a DEI practitioner and CEO of Ayanna. You can find me on LinkedIn, Netta Jenkins, or you could head to www.aerodei.com. You can head to ourdipper.com. I feel like I have 10 jobs. You can head to nettajenkins.com for those of you that are interested in coaching and learning about DEI efforts.
Thank you.
Do you have any other final words that you would like to add, or just anything for the people? Feel free.
Yeah, I think the only thing, run out and get the book. You can pre-order. It's called The Inclusive Organization. The book is really dynamic. I know it's me saying it, so maybe a bit biased, but I really try to put a lot into it so that folks are truly engaged, laughing, but it also gets serious throughout, and I provide a lot of examples and details. You can purchase on Amazon. You can also purchase at Barnes & Nobles or Target. So pre-order today.
Yes. And you are a dynamic individual, so I have no doubt that the book is just as dynamic.
Oh, thank you. I need to talk to you all every day. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're like your feel-good business besties.
I love it. I love it.
All right, everyone. On that note, you're so out. Peace.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.